Hello there, how are you? How's everyone doing? My name is Naomi Judge. I'm a naturopath and clinical nutritionist, and I help women connect the dots between their health, happiness, and hormones. And I particularly specialize in cyclic mood symptoms, PMDD, and severe PMS. And today I want to talk to you about three things that might mean you get triggered more in your luteal phase. So your luteal phase is that phase after you ovulate. So you ovulate around day 14 for most women. Give or take a few days. It can be different. You ovulate, and then from ovulation you have what's called the luteal phase, and that's where your corpus luteum, which is your egg, is preparing your body for pregnancy. So in this luteal phase, you might actually get some more symptoms that women will get in pregnancy, because it's the same things are happening to your hormones, to your immune system, that would normally occur during pregnancy. And then at some stage your body realizes that you're not pregnant, and around that kind of day 28, maybe a few days before, your lining sheds and then you get your period. In the luteal phase, generally about 2 weeks, you would expect estrogen and progesterone to rise as the corpus luteum produces those hormones. The progesterone is produced to hold on to the fetus, and the estrogen is produced for the growing fetus as well. So that's what you would expect, but it can be different for some women, and a lot of women are triggered in the luteal phase for many different reasons, and it's not just hormonal balance. There are lots of different things going on. So I'm going to talk to you about three things that can happen. One is you can have a major drop in serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. It's a feel-good neurotransmitter. It regulates your appetite. It makes you feel connected. It makes you feel part of something. It makes you feel happy. It makes you feel relaxed. It helps with sleep, supports bowel motion, supports inflammation, helps with pain perception. So it has a lot of different functions. Estrogen tends to modulate serotonin, and progesterone tends to potentiate. So progesterone helps you make more serotonin, and estrogen helps to regulate it. So if you're having issues in your luteal phase, if you're not ovulating, if you're on the oral contraceptive pill, maybe you've got polycystic ovarian syndrome or testosterone dominance, any of these issues, then what's going to happen is it might impede your corpus luteum from producing that estrogen and that progesterone, which means your serotonin will plummet. And you're more sensitive in the luteal phase because a lot is going on in this luteal phase. You've got blood sugar regulation, you've got your body prepping for pregnancy, you've got the immune system being suppressed, you've got a lot going on. So you're more sensitive in this phase. As serotonin, if that drops out, you're going to be experiencing your symptoms even more aggravated. So low serotonin symptoms can be a low libido, OCD, mental obsessions, that self-talk going around and around and around. You know, when you're trying to go to bed and you've just got, you're thinking about the day, you're thinking about that interaction, how that interaction went wrong, you're thinking about tomorrow, you're obsessing about last week, you're worrying about the future. All of these mental obsessions going around and around and around. You might also have more food cravings, so you'll be more likely to be craving sugars, craving carbs, but craving to the extent where you keep on eating and you get full, but you're still eating. So you're full in the stomach and you actually might feel a bit sick, but you can continue to eat, continue to eat, continue to eat. Things are overwhelming. You're more likely to focus on the negative than the positive. Your house might start to get messy. You're not really interested in self-care as much. You're not really interested in looking after yourself, looking after your house. You might get more frustrated. So all of this can go on. And if you're sensitive in the luteal phase and those progesterones and those estrogens are out of balance and you already have lowered serotonin, it's going to be even more worse here. If it's just that low serotonin, you will also find that that will carry on over into your menstrual period. And so instead of suddenly feeling better, which a lot of women do with PMDD, you might actually feel more fatigued, more run down, extremely low when your period comes. So that's the difference between PMDD that's got a lot of complex issues going on and maybe just your regular low serotonin. So women going into perimenopause and menopause that have lower hormones, they're also more likely to suffer from low serotonin. So what you'll find is taking supplements to boost your hormones can actually help with serotonin. So some women might find that Vitex, which helps to boost estrogen and progesterone, helps with boosting serotonin, so it makes you happier. Other women find that evening primrose oil, taking about 2 grams a day, helps with estrogen, but can also support and help with your serotonin as well. And then vitamin D as well, very important for ovulation, very important for conception, and extremely needed for the production of estrogen and progesterones. Some women find that just a couple of weeks on a high dose vitamin D can really boost their serotonin as well. So there's a few things to look at, but if you're lower hormones and you get quite low during that luteal phase and anxious, then you might want to look at your serotonin levels and ways to boost your serotonin as well. Trauma is also a biggie. So trauma, many of us have trauma, and what can happen with trauma is if we don't deal with it and our body doesn't go through those natural biological states, so we go into trauma, we might go into freeze, we might go into then sympathetic nervous system, or we might do sympathetic nervous system, then go into freeze state, and then the body works through the trauma, however long that might take for some. It might take a minute, it might take weeks, it might take months. We work through that trauma and then the body can regulate itself into parasympathetic. But what's happening these days is we're staying in either the freeze state or we're staying in this sympathetic dominant state, and our body is not allowing us to biologically kind of work through the trauma. So it's getting more and more ingrained. We get more easily triggered. When our hormones are out of whack and we're going through the luteal phase, if we've already got issues going on like low serotonin or high cortisol, pyrroles, methylation issues, the body is going to go into that freeze or that stress state like that very quickly. A freeze state is where your body kind of regulates itself by not using many resources. So a freeze state, you might find that you've got a shallower breath. You might find that you're more cold. You might find that your digestion's more sluggish. You might find that you're just fatigued and tired and low. You don't feel like anything. You feel foggy. You're procrastinating about things. That's those kind of telltale signs of being in that freeze state. Or if you're in that stress state, so that freeze state is a low cortisol. If you're in that stress state and you're used to having high cortisol, or if you've got polycystic ovarian syndrome, or you've got blood sugar, or you've got gestational diabetes, or blood sugar issues in the family, and you've got this high cortisol, you might be constantly in sympathetic state. And that will be triggered more dramatically in your luteal phase and any other phase of your cycle, because you've got all of this stuff going on, the hormones rising, the insulin, the glucose, it's all happening in this luteal phase. And so you're going to be more sensitive. And if you're more sympathetic, you'll be in this fight flight. Your muscles will feel agitated. You'll feel agitated. Everything will trigger you. You'll feel in danger. You won't feel safe. You won't feel trusting to people around you. Your body will just be really, really tight. Your digestion and tummy might be all screwed up. You might be constipated or doing those pebbly poos as well. It's telltale signs. You might have a dry mouth, dry eyes, fast, rapid heartbeat. This is this high cortisol and this high adrenaline. High alert, so you notice things, you've got more of that behavioral, that negative behavioral association, so you pick up on more negative things about people, negative things about life, negative things around you. You're more scared and stressed that your house is going to burn down. Maybe you'll have an accident. If your kid's out, you might be more stressed that something's going to happen to your child. So you're just this kind of high high alert, this tunnel vision. You can't concentrate on things around you. And this is more exacerbated when there is a trauma, an underlying trauma in the luteal phase. So as I said, the trauma could be from when you were a child. It could be daily traumas that you're going through. It could be multiple traumas, a PTSD. So anything that you might need to work through, you know, working through a trauma with talk therapy with a therapist, and then doing somatic healing is really, really important. But a couple of things you can do for yourself. I mean, you want to give yourself this self-love, this self-care. And one of the things I love to do is just, you know, if you're feeling in that agitated, aggravated state, one of the things you'll learn with somatic healing is just about touch and supporting your body. I actually love it when I give myself a hug. And can you see I'm really kind of doing this, pressing in on my arms, giving myself a hug, really helps to reset my nervous system. This is all we want to do. We want to teach our nervous system to reset. We want to teach our nervous system to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic, not staying in that sympathetic nervous system state, if you get what I'm saying. So the longer we're in that sympathetic nervous system, the more damage it does, the more our body's used to being there. If we can trigger our body getting back into parasympathetic, that is important, and that is really an excellent thing for you to be doing. So this is a beautiful way to do it. You just want to tell your body you're safe. You want to tell your body, I am safe. That's the biggest thing you can do in the luteal phase. And unfortunately, in the luteal phase, this is when we tend to go into anxiety. We tend to go into maybe we'll lock ourselves away. We won't want to socialize. But this is a time when you need to do the things that actually tell your body that you're safe. And so these hugs, this is a really beautiful thing to do. Just doing some nice visualizations with your breath, you know, visualizing your breath going into your body, your breath working around your body. These are really beautiful things you can do, and just telling your body, telling yourself that you are safe. Trauma is a big one, and so you'll need to spend a lot of time working through this, doing the talk therapy, as I said, but somatic healing is extremely important as well. And then also giving your body things that tell itself when you go through trauma. Good foods, making sure that you're not fasting during the luteal phase, making sure that you're not withholding food, making sure you're having complex carbohydrates with proteins, with fats. You want to be doing this in the luteal phase. You also don't want to be doing intense exercise in the luteal phase. And if you do struggle, and you know trauma is an issue for you and you struggle in the luteal phase, you want to make sure that you've got your balanced lifestyle in the luteal phase. So don't be planning in anything too extensive. Don't be planning in massive projects. During the luteal phase in that 2 weeks, it's all about coming down and grounding, not producing as much cortisol, so maybe doing some yin yoga, maybe taking some time out, some walks, Epsom salt baths, those kind of things. And just that's how to regulate it. Bring yourself down during the luteal phase. Don't push. That's a key here in supporting yourself with trauma in the luteal phase. Trigger number 3 for a lot of women is histamine, and histamine is huge. There are so many issues going on in terms of digestion, in terms of leaky gut, in terms of methylation, MTHFR, that what's tending to happen is our blood histamine is rising. And this blood histamine is causing all sorts of problems. Histamine is a neurotransmitter. It's an amine, and we need it for a particular thing. It mediates your allergic reactions. You know, when you get bitten by something, say you get bitten by a bee, that area goes extremely red and swollen. That's the histamine initiating healing at the site of that bite. So we need histamine, but the problem is, due to various factors in our modern lifestyle, histamine is super high for some people, and it gets worse during the luteal phase. But histamine regulates allergic reaction. It regulates your gastric secretion as well, regulates the inflammation, and it's excitatory neurotransmitter. So if it's too low for some people, they will have difficulties, and they might find that they're quite fatigued and quite low. memory problems, because histamine helps with retaining information, so they might find that they've got memory problems as well. But what can go on in the luteal phase is, if we're sensitive to histamine and if we're used to having these allergic reactions, these sinus problems, maybe hives on our skin, maybe we've got a mold sensitivity, or we've got a mast cell issue because we've lived in an old house, or because we were bitten by a tick, 10 years ago, there could be some chronic issue going on there. But what happens in the luteal phase is, when we ovulate, estrogen potentiates a release of more histamine. More estrogen equals more histamine equals more estrogen. So for you ladies that are estrogen dominant, this just whoa, blows up after ovulation. The estrogen's high, the progesterone's high. You might get red flushed in the face, you might get really bad hives, you might get really bad itchy skin, you might get awful acid reflux, diarrhea, loose bowel motions, all of those kind of things. And then it's a double whammy if you're one of these women that's got elevated estrogen. Maybe you're on the estrogen contraceptive pill and you've got no progesterone, no beautiful relaxing progesterone that helps to produce diamine oxidase that breaks down histamine. So if you've got low progesterone to high estrogen, in your luteal phase, you're going to be really anxious, maybe have insomnia, allergic reactions, wake up with sinus reactions, sneezing, hives, these kind of things. So if that picture is you, then a low histamine diet will be really important for you. Other times you may have found that it's worse. Pregnancy. So I know in pregnancy, I had a real issue with, I was allergic to the cold, particularly in the morning. So I had to stop going for walks in the morning, but I was pregnant through winter, the kind of that mid-pregnancy. I remember June, July, I'd go for early morning walks and my legs would get itchier and itchier and itchy. The itch was intense, so intense. And I would come home, it was like a pain. And it was the cold of my thighs and my legs. So my feet and my thighs would all be so itchy. I mean, it's horrendous. It's gone now, but that stopped me from walking in pregnancy. It was awful. If you're going through IVF treatment as well, you might find that'll increase your estrogen levels, and that impedes your liver to do the methylation to support excretion of histamine as well. So your histamine might go up. And then also menopause. If you're estrogen dominant with low progesterone in menopause, you will also have problems, maybe with allergies, sinus problems, itchy skin, that kind of thing. And then remember, histamine is excitatory. So we're looking at anxiety, we're looking at, not being able to sleep, just feeling like on edge all the time. It does also cause issues in the gut. So you'll find maybe you have IBS, you'll find maybe that you'll have reflux, acid reflux. Those are biggies with histamine. So histamine is a biggie, but the best place to start when it comes to histamine is to reduce histamine. So you can either, if it's severe, I would recommend reducing histamine through the whole cycle. I would do that. If it's just really flared up in your luteal phase, you just want to take out the big boys in the luteal phase. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, kefir, yogurt, bone broth, really high in histamine. Your pickles, your sauces like soy sauce, like oyster sauce, dark chocolate that's fermented as well. All these fermented things are high in histamine. All the things that are healthy and that we love, take them out during your luteal phase if it really affects you that bad. But if it's worse, you want to take it out for your whole cycle as well. Some people are sensitive to tomatoes, so you don't want to be having tomatoes every day. Some people, spinach as well. Aged cheeses, cured meats, all of these foods can exacerbate. So I would 100% take these out in your luteal phase. Other things that you can do, nettle tea is wonderful. So 1 to 2 cups of nettle tea a day. You can take also a vitamin C with each meal to support you, particularly through your luteal phase. And through your luteal phase, if you want to take quercetin, about 500 milligrams a day, that will just help to break down and just to buffer the histamine. This isn't working on the root cause, which could be gut, which could be leaky gut, or it could be methylation as well. So you need to have a look at the root cause. But for now, this will help with your symptoms. It will just get that histamine under control. A low histamine diet, vitamin C with each meal, quercetin and nettle tea, just to get it under control. So those are the 3 things that can really help, really trigger you during your luteal phase. Low serotonin, depressed, anxious, sad, fatigued. And then we've got what was trauma. Trauma can trigger your nervous system, sympathetic or freeze state. And then we've got histamine. Histamine can cause all these allergies, this anxiety, all these issues during your luteal phase. So if you feel you have an issue with one of those, I've given you a few tips through the video. And if you need any extra support, I highly recommend that 1, you download my low histamine meal plan, but 2, you come and join me on the Calm Cycle Circle. The Calm Cycle Circle is happening once a month. It's completely free. It's a virtual women's gathering, and I'm going to take you through some beautiful things to support you, particularly with trauma, to support your body, and just create a like-minded community of women that are having problems with PMDD, severe PMS, and cyclic mood symptoms. So I look forward to you joining me. Until then, take care. Bye.